2 years passed, and Mmirimma grew with a fragile thread connecting her to both the human and water spirits. She loved playing by the river, and her laughter echoed through the quiet forest whenever her parents took her to the farm. Ajayi and Ihuoma raised her with love, teaching her to be a good girl. However, the mystery of Mmirimma began to unfold as she never slept between 12 o'clock a.m. and 3 o'clock a.m. each night. She would stay awake, soliloquizing and speaking to herself. The child was not theirs by blood. They had traveled a long way to consult a magician about the mysterious baby whose unknown mother had died immediately after giving birth. The magician told them that the child was a gift from the water spirits and would bring joy to them. For accepting the responsibility to take care for this water child, they were promised that they would conceive again, and the sacred path connecting the living and the water spirits had been entrusted to them. The consultation and prophecy were sealed with a ritual performed at the shallow part of the river. The couple wore white wrappers. Ihuoma's tied from her bust down to her legs, while Ajayi's was tied from his waist down to his legs. Ihuoma carried their child wrapped in a white long towel, and Ajayi held a white hen. The magician, adorned in a white wrapper and holding a brown golden staff in his right hand, invoked the Water Queen Mother. After his incantations, he dropped a local wooden bowl containing local eggs, cowries, garden eggs, and a yellow-colored liquid into the river. Taking the hen from Ajayi, he turned it over Ihuoma's head 7 times, struck it against her body, and then threw it far into the wide flowing river. The hen disappeared immediately. The couple, fearful while performing the rituals, prayed for blessings from Mmirimma as the magician had foretold. Countless times, Ihuoma stayed up from midnight, watching her 2-year-old beautiful fair daughter, who would sit on her local bed at midnight, soliloquizing and speaking to herself. Tonight, Ihuoma, heavily pregnant, woke up at midnight to observe her daughter performing her daily routine. She moved close, took the child by the hand, and traced the lines on the baby's palm, wondering about her fate. Gazing into the child's bold wide eyes, which held a universe of questions, Ihuoma's curiosity about the mysterious behavior grew daily. However, she kept these thoughts to herself, fearing that others would call her daughter an Ogbanje. On this Afo day, the villagers gathered around, watching Mmirimma tied to a tree. Earlier that day, she was caught eating food offered to the gods, which angered the elders. An eyewitness report led to her immediate judgment. She was to be stoned to death for committing an abomination. Everyone had a stone, ready to cast it at the 5-year-old girl. Suddenly, the sky darkened. The villagers, trying to see in the unexpected darkness, were flabbergasted. How could a bright afternoon suddenly become dark? They asked one another in fear. Perhaps the world is about to end. The elders speculated, and in fear they dispersed to their homes, trying to find their way in the dark. Thunderstruck and the dark sky cleared, revealing a bright afternoon once again. Ihuoma, crying and held by her husband, rushed to the center of the market where Mmirimma was tied to a tree. With Ajayi's help, she began losing the ropes. Mmirimma was covered in bruises and crying in pain. Ajayi carried her on his back and they headed home. Rumors about the beautiful Ogbanje Mmirimma spread, and she continued to grow in astonishing beauty. As Mmirimma blossomed into womanhood, suitors began to arrive from near and far, each one eager to win her heart. Handsome men from distant villages traveled long distances, bringing with them gifts of gold, rare fabrics, and precious stones. They spoke of their wealth, their land, and their desire to make her their bride. Despite their efforts, Mmirimma remained indifferent. One by one, she turned them away, with a flimsy reason of not matching her taste. Her heart was not moved by promises of riches or tales of valor. Her parents were puzzled, Why does she reject such fine men? They wondered. What does she seek that these suitors cannot offer? Mmirimma's rejections were gentle yet firm. She would listen patiently to each suitor, but her heart remained untouched. She would often walk to the river's edge after sending a suitor away, gazing into its flowing waters as if seeking answers from the depths. In truth, Mmirimma felt a calling that none of the suitors could fulfill. She sensed a connection to the river and the spirit within it, that it was stronger than any bond she could form with a mortal man. Deep down, she yearned for a love that resonated with her true nature, one that transcended down the physical world. News of Mmirimma's rejections had spread beyond the mortal realm, reaching the ears of a powerful forest spirit. Intrigued by the maiden who turned away all who sought her hand, the spirit decided to see for itself what made Mmirimma so unique. The spirit, in preparation to meet Mmirimma, determined to win her heart. It borrowed the most handsome and noble bodies it could find, covering its skeletons and skull and cloaking itself in human form. It knew that it must appear as the ideal suitor, possessing not just physical beauty, but also an air of mystery and depth that would resonate with Mmirimma's spirit. One evening, as the sun set and painted the sky with hues of orange and purple, Mmirimma was coming back from the market when she noticed a mysterious stranger stalking her. Turning to look at the man, there stood the perfect man she had always longed for. He was strikingly handsome, with eyes that seemed to hold the wisdom of ages. The spirit walked toward her and started talking to her. There was something different about him, something that set him apart from all the others who had come before. He approached her with a calm confidence, offering no grand promises or lavish gifts. Instead, he spoke to her of the river, of its mysteries, and the ancient spirit that dwelled within its depths. His words resonated with Mmirimma in a way she had never felt before. Intrigued, Mmirimma did not reject him outright. She listened to his stories, feeling a strange and powerful connection to this stranger who seemed to understand her on a level no one else ever had. Days turned into weeks as the spirit, still in the borrowed form, courted Mmirimma with tales of the river. The love story of the two began, and eventually, Mmirimma agreed to marry the mysterious suitor. On the next Afo day, Mmirimma married the spirit amidst joy from her parents, who were not satisfied with the stranger suitor's background. But they were happy that Mmirimma finally agreed to marry someone. After the traditional marriage, Mmirimma left with her husband. The spirit led her away from the village, promising to take her to a new home where they would live in harmony. They traveled far, crossing rivers and climbing mountains. As they journeyed deeper into the wilderness, Mmirimma began to notice changes in her husband. At first, it was subtle, a fleeting shadow across his face, a glint of something otherworldly in his eyes. But as they passed through dense forests, the changes became more pronounced. His once handsome face started to take on a skeletal appearance, his skin growing pale and taut. Fear gripped Mmirimma's heart as she saw his hands gradually disappear, leaving only bones in their place. Realization dawned on Mmirimma with a cold sinking feeling. She had married a forest spirit. The tales he had told her were not just stories, but a reflection of his true nature. The spirit, sensing her fear, paused their journey and turned to her, his skeletal face a haunting reminder of the ancient and powerful being he truly was. Mmirimma, the spirit said softly, "I did not intend to deceive you. I am bound to the forest just as you are bound to the river. My true form is revealed as we travel deeper into my realm. If you wish to return to your village, I'm sorry, it is not possible." With each passing mile, the transformation of the spirit continued. His body, once handsome and strong, was now nothing more than a skeleton. Only his voice remained echoing softly in the air as they traveled. Mmirimma cried as she walked beside the spirit, her heart heavy with fear and sorrow. They approached a great river, and Mmirimma, exhausted and weary from the long journey, sat down quietly by the water's edge. The skeleton left her there, promising to find her something to eat. As she waited in fear, She heard a noise coming from the river and turned to see a boat approaching. It moved towards her with no one inside, guided by an unseen force. With shaky hands, Mmirimma held onto the boat and climbed inside. The boat turned and began to carry her far into the river, taking her back home. She watched the shoreline fade away, her heart filled with regret and sadness. She realized her mistake in rejecting the good men who had come to marry her, and wept throughout her journey back. As the boat reached her village, Mmirimma stepped out and looked back at the river, tears streaming down her face. She had learned a hard lesson about the consequences of her choices and the importance of seeing beyond outward appearances. Her experience with the forest spirit had changed her forever, teaching her the true value of love and connection. From that day on, Mmirimma lived her life with newfound wisdom, always remembering the journey that brought her back home and the spirit who had shown her the deeper truth of the world.